I was a hard worker who believed in supporting my family. When I met Jennifer 6 years ago, I knew she was the one. After our wedding 3 years ago, I took a risk leaving my corporate job to start my own business. Things have been tight financially, but we agreed it was temporary. Tonight, we're hosting dinner with her college friends. Something about Jennifer has changed lately, and I can't quite put my finger on it. Where are you watching from today? If you're new here, hit like and subscribe for more real stories about relationships, self-respect, and the lessons I've learned the hard way. I grew up in a middle-class family in Michigan, where my father taught me the value of hard work from an early age. He always said, "Carter, nobody will ever fault you for putting in honest effort." That work ethic stayed with me through college, where I graduated with honors before landing a solid position at a marketing firm in Chicago. My career was on a promising trajectory when I met Jennifer at my college roommate's wedding. She was the maid of honor, intelligent, passionate about her teaching career, and had this infectious laugh that could light up a room. We connected instantly over shared values and similar dreams for the future. Our first date turned into 3 hours of conversation about everything from childhood memories to our aspirations. Jennifer and I dated for 3 years before I proposed. Throughout that time, we supported each other through various challenges, her completing her master's degree in education, my promotion that required long hours and frequent travel. We functioned as a team, celebrating each other's successes and providing comfort during disappointments. After our wedding, we settled into a comfortable routine. Jennifer taught 5th grade at a well-regarded elementary school while I continued climbing the corporate ladder. We bought a modest house in a nice neighborhood with good schools, planning for the family we hoped to start within a few years. The turning point came about 8 months ago. I had been growing increasingly dissatisfied with the corporate politics at my company. New management had shifted our focus away from quality work toward unrealistic metrics and aggressive sales tactics that made me uncomfortable. I found myself dreading Monday morning, something that had never happened throughout my career. One night over dinner, I opened up to Jennifer about my desire to start my own marketing consulting business. I had been researching the market, identifying potential clients, and developing a business plan for months. "I know it's a risk," I told her, spreading my detailed 5-year projection across our kitchen table. "But I've run the numbers. We have enough savings to cover the lean months, and your teaching salary provides a stable foundation. According to my projections, we should be profitable within 18 months. Jennifer's initial reaction was supportive. "You've always wanted to be your own boss," she said, reviewing my business plan. "And I hate seeing how miserable that place makes you. Let's do it. We can tighten our belts for a while." We spent several weekends discussing the details. How much we needed to set aside, what expenses we could cut, and contingency plans if things took longer than expected. Throughout those conversations, Jennifer seemed enthusiastic, even suggesting potential local businesses I could approach as clients. 6 months ago, I submitted my resignation letter and launched Carter Marshall Consulting. The early days were exactly as challenging as I expected. I converted our home's spare bedroom into an office, worked 12 to 14 hours daily networking, pitching potential clients, and developing marketing strategies for the few small businesses that took a chance on me. Our financial situation was manageable but tight. We dipped into savings for some bills, postponed the vacation we had planned, and ate at home instead of dining out. I was still contributing my fair share to our household expenses, though the amount was less than when I had my corporate salary. Jennifer never directly complained, but I noticed subtle changes in her attitude. "The Andersons just booked a cruise to Alaska," she mentioned one evening, scrolling through social media. "That sounds amazing," I replied, looking up from my laptop where I was finalizing a proposal. "Maybe next year once the business is established." "Sure," she said with a sigh that felt heavier than it should have. These small moments accumulated gradually. Jennifer started making more comments about what her colleagues or friends were buying or doing. When I tried to reassure her with updates on promising client meetings or positive feedback on my work, she would smile and nod, but the enthusiasm she had shown during our planning discussions was notably absent. As weeks passed, I secured 4 regular clients, small businesses that valued my marketing expertise, but couldn't afford the large agencies I used to work for. The income was starting to flow, though not yet at the level of my former salary. Every cent went back into growing the business or contributing to our household. Despite my 60-plus-hour work weeks and signs of business growth, I could feel a shift in our relationship dynamic. Jennifer became more distant, often scrolling through her phone during dinner rather than engaging in conversation as we used to. When I asked about her day, her responses were shorter, less detailed. I tried to address it once, asking if everything was okay. "I'm just tired," she said. "End of the school year is always crazy." I accepted her explanation, though. A knot of worry formed in my stomach. Something was changing between us, and I couldn't quite identify what. That feeling of unease grew stronger as we prepared to host dinner for her college friends, an event Jennifer had been unusually stressed about all week. The day of the dinner party arrived with Jennifer in a flurry of activity. Despite my packed schedule finalizing a new client proposal, I spent the morning helping clean our home from top to bottom. Jennifer seemed particularly concerned with how everything would look. "Do you think we should have gotten the living room furniture reupholstered before today?" she asked, fluffing pillows that looked perfectly fine to me. "The furniture looks great," I assured her, confused by her sudden concern. We had always been proud of our modest but comfortable home with its mix of carefully selected furniture and meaningful decorations. I offered to pick up the groceries and wine for dinner, even though it wasn't in our tight budget. Jennifer had created an ambitious menu that cost more than our usual weekly grocery allowance, but I wanted the evening to be special for her. I selected a few nice bottles of wine that I knew her friends would appreciate, wincing slightly at the register when I handed over my credit card. The guests began arriving at 7. Amanda and her husband Brad were first, both successful attorneys who drove up in their new luxury SUV. Amanda embraced Jennifer with practiced warmth, while Brad handed me an expensive bottle of scotch. "Nice place," Brad commented, his eyes scanning our living room in a way that felt more like assessment than appreciation. Stephanie arrived next. Recently divorced from her husband Jake, after 5 years of marriage, she carried herself with the sharp energy of someone with something to prove. The traffic was brutal, she announced, handing Jennifer a bottle of wine that I recognized as costing twice what I had budgeted for the entire dinner. Lauren and her boyfriend Mark completed the group. They had been dating for 2 years, both working in finance, and from Jennifer's previous comments, obsessed with career advancement and status. The initial conversation flowed pleasantly enough, focusing on catching up, who had moved, changed jobs, or traveled recently. Jennifer seemed tense beside me, laughing a bit too loudly at her friends' jokes and refilling wine glasses with unusual frequency. When dinner was served, Jennifer's elaborate meal received appropriate compliments. I squeezed her hand under the table, hoping to convey my appreciation for her efforts and support during what was clearly an important evening for her. The conversation inevitably turned to careers and money as we moved to dessert and coffee. Amanda and Brad described their recent 3-week European vacation in detail, from private vineyard tours in Tuscany to shopping in Paris. "The secret is finding work that pays you what you deserve," Brad said, accepting another pour of scotch. "Too many people settle for less." When the focus shifted to me, I was honest about my transition. I started my own marketing consulting firm 6 months ago. It is challenging building something from the ground up, but I already have several consistent clients and the growth trajectory is promising. There were polite nods and a few questions about my business model, though I could sense the underlying skepticism in their expressions. The conversation might have moved on harmlessly if Stephanie hadn't leaned forward with her third glass of wine in hand. "You know what she said," her words slightly slurred. "My ex Jake was always talking about his big business ideas too. Meanwhile, I was the one keeping the lights on." She laughed sharply. "Some men just cannot hold down real jobs, can they?" The table fell quiet for a beat before uncomfortable laughter rippled through the group. I maintained a polite smile, waiting for Jennifer to offer some gentle correction or change the subject. Instead, she joined the laughter, her eyes avoiding mine. "So Jennifer," Stephanie continued, emboldened, "how are you dealing with supporting a startup husband? I mean, does he at least help around the house while you pay the bills?" I felt my face grow hot as I waited for Jennifer's response. Certain she would defend our mutual decision and partnership, the second of silence before she spoke stretched painfully. "Sometimes I wonder if I should have checked his financial ambitions before saying I do, like you did with Jake," Jennifer replied with a nervous laugh, still not meeting my gaze. The words hit me like a physical blow. The room seemed to tilt slightly as I processed what my wife had just said to her friends. Brad coughed awkwardly, while Amanda suddenly became very interested in her dessert. Mark and Lauren exchanged glances. Only Stephanie seemed pleased, a vindicated smile playing at her lips. Would anyone like more coffee, I asked, standing and collecting empty cups. My voice sounded distant to my own ears. I need to check something in my office anyway, so I will bring back coffee in a few minutes. I made my way to the kitchen, mechanically going through the motions of brewing fresh coffee, while my mind replayed Jennifer's words. In our 6 years together, I had never felt so betrayed or misunderstood. After preparing the coffee, I excused myself to my office, closing the door partly but not fully. I had no work to do. It was just an escape from the humiliation. Through the crack in the door, I could hear the conversation continue in the dining room. "Oh my God, Jen, is he okay?" Lauren asked. "He is fine," Jennifer replied, her voice lower but still audible. "He has been a bit sensitive lately about the business stuff. Men and their egos," Stephanie said dismissively. Jake was the same way. Couldn't handle the slightest criticism about his grand plans that never materialized. "Carter is not like Jake," Jennifer said, but her defense was half-hearted at best. "His business is actually starting to take off." "Sure it is," Stephanie replied skeptically. "That is what they all say." I stopped listening then, my hands trembling slightly as I sat at my desk. This wasn't just a one-time slip or momentary lapse in judgment. Jennifer's weak defense confirmed what her initial comment revealed. She didn't believe in me, or our decision anymore. Worse, she had apparently been discussing her doubts with these friends for some time. The realization was like ice water in my veins. I had been working myself to exhaustion, believing we were a team, facing temporary challenges together. Meanwhile, my wife was embarrassed by me, comparing me to a deadbeat ex-husband behind my back. When I heard the guests beginning to leave about 30 minutes later, I emerged from my office with a carefully composed expression. I shook hands, thanked everyone for coming, and helped clean up in near-total silence while Jennifer chatted nervously about everything except what had happened. After the last guest departed and the front door closed, a heavy silence fell over our home. Jennifer busied herself with unnecessary tidying, avoiding eye contact, as she rearranged already clean dishes in the dishwasher. I watched her for a moment, collecting my thoughts. The hurt was profound, but beneath it was a growing sense of clarity. This moment would define our marriage moving forward, and I needed to approach it with care rather than raw emotion. "We need to talk about what happened tonight," I finally said, my voice calmer than I felt. "It was just a joke, Carter," Jennifer replied quickly, still not looking at me. Stephanie was being Stephanie. You know how she gets after a few drinks. "I am not talking about Stephanie," I said. "I am talking about what you said. About checking my financial ambitions before marrying me." Jennifer finally stopped pretending to clean and turned to face me, her expression a mix of guilt and defensiveness. "You are making too big a deal out of one comment." Everyone was joking around. "Was it really just one comment?" I asked. Because, from where I was sitting, it sounded like a sentiment you have expressed to them before, like continuation of previous conversations. Her silence confirmed my suspicion. "How long have you been feeling this way?" I pressed. "How long have you been complaining to your friends about me?" "I have not been complaining about you," she protested, but her voice lacked conviction. After a pause, she added more quietly, "I have just been frustrated sometimes. This is not what I thought our life would look like right now." "What did you think it would look like?" "We discussed this decision together. We made plans. You said you supported me taking this risk." "I did support you," Jennifer's voice rose slightly. "But I did not think it would take this long. Amanda and Brad just bought a vacation home. Lauren hot promoted again. And we are counting pennies and canceling vacations." The truth was finally emerging. As painful as it was to hear, I needed all of it. "So this is about keeping up with your friends?" I asked. "About vacation homes and promotions?" "No, it is not just that," Jennifer said, frustration clear in her voice. "It is about stability, security. I thought by our 30s we would be established, maybe thinking about starting a family. Not starting over from scratch with some business that might never take off." Her words hit like another blow. Some business that might never take off. The doubt in her voice was unmistakable. "Have you ever actually believed in me?" I asked quietly. In my ability to make this work, Jennifer's hesitation before answering told me everything. "I believe in your talent," she finally said. I just think the timing was wrong. And maybe the market is too competitive." Stephanie's ex-husband Jake had similar ideas, and I am not Jake. I interrupted, a sudden anger flaring. "And I wish you would stop comparing me to your friend's failed ex-husband. I have been working 60-hour weeks. I have been landing clients. I have been contributing to our household. But it is not the same as before," Jennifer countered, "and I do not know how long I can keep doing this." The implications of her words hung in the air between us. I took a deep breath, considering whether to share the news I had been saving as a surprise. "I signed Anderson Manufacturing last week," I said, quietly. "They want a complete marketing overhaul and ongoing consultation. The contract is worth more than my previous annual salary." Jennifer's eyes widened in surprise. "What? Why didn't you tell me I was going to surprise you next week on our anniversary? The paperwork was just finalized yesterday." I shook my head slowly. "But now I see that would not have mattered. Because this isn't really about the money, is it? It is about respect. You stopped respecting me the moment I stepped away from corporate security." "That is not fair," Jennifer protested, though her voice wavered. "Isn't it?" I countered. "You have been talking about me behind my back to your friends. You let them compare me to a deadbeat. You joined in. How is that respect?" Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I did not mean to hurt you. I have just been scared." "So have I admitted. Starting a business is terrifying. I needed my partner beside me, not undermining me to her friends." We continued talking for another hour, circling through blame explanations and apologies. By the end, nothing felt resolved. The breach of trust hung between us like an unbridgeable chasm. "I need some space tonight," I finally said. "I am going to stay at David's place." Jennifer looked alarmed. "You are leaving, just for tonight?" "I need to think." I packed an overnight bag while Jennifer watched silently from the doorway, tears streaming down her face. Her apologies followed me to the door, but they felt hollow compared to the weight of her betrayal. Driving to my friend David's apartment, I felt a strange mix of pain and clarity. The week that followed was one of minimal contact with Jennifer. I threw myself into work, finalizing the Anderson Manufacturing contract and pitching to 2 additional potential clients. Jennifer sent texts and called, but I kept our conversations brief and functional. During this time, I had several long talks with David, who had been through a divorce years earlier. "The question isn't whether you still love her," he told me one evening. "It's whether you can rebuild trust and respect. Without those, love isn't enough." His words resonated deeply. I did still love Jennifer, but I couldn't unhear what she had said or unfeel the hurt of her betrayal. Something fundamental had been revealed about how she viewed me, and I wasn't sure we could move past it. As days passed, my thoughts clarified. This wasn't just about one dinner party comment. It was about partnership, belief, and mutual respect. I needed to decide whether our marriage was worth fighting for, and if so, what would need to change for us to move forward. After a week of separation and reflection, I developed a strategic response to address both the immediate relationship crisis and my long-term financial independence. First, I scheduled a meeting with my new major client, Anderson Manufacturing, and proposed an accelerated project timeline. They agreed enthusiastically, offering an unexpected advance payment that significantly bolstered my business account. With this financial leverage, I visited a bank and established a separate account for my business earnings. Though I had no intention of hiding money from Jennifer, I needed to secure my financial position while working through our marital issues. Next, I consulted with a financial advisor to create a sustainable business growth plan that would protect my interests regardless of personal outcomes. These practical steps gave me the confidence and security to address the deeper issues in my marriage. After 10 days apart, I texted Jennifer, "I would like to have dinner at home tomorrow night. We need to talk." That evening, I prepared a simple but elegant meal, set the dining room table with our best dishes, and waited for Jennifer to arrive from work. When she walked through the door, the surprise was evident on her face. "Carter," she said hesitantly, "you cooked." "Sit down," I replied calmly. "We have important things to discuss." Once we were seated, I placed a folder on the table between us. Inside were printed bank statements, the Anderson Manufacturing contract, and projections for my business over the next year. I opened it and laid out the documents one by one. "This is my business today," I said, my voice steady. 6 months in, I have secured clients that will bring in more than I made at my corporate job. The projections show where I will be by the end of the year if I maintain this growth rate. Jennifer stared at the papers, stunned. "I had no idea it was going this well," she murmured. "You could have," I replied. "You could have asked. You could have shown interest. Instead, you chose to believe I was failing and complained about me to your friends." She flinched at my directness, but didn't argue. "I did not ask you to join me for dinner to discuss business," I continued. "These papers are simply evidence of something I already knew, but you doubted." I am here to talk about trust and respect, which are far more important than any financial statement. I looked directly into her eyes. I love you, Jennifer, but love without respect is not enough for me. What happened at that dinner party showed me how little you respect me, and it forces me to question the foundation of our marriage. Tears welled in her eyes. I know I hurt you, she whispered. I have been trying to apologize. An apology is just words, unless it is followed by changed behavior, I said. So I need to be clear about what I need going forward. I will not be belittled or made the butt of jokes, especially not by my wife. I will not be compared to other people's failed ex-husbands. And I will not remain in a relationship where my partner does not believe in me. Jennifer reached for my hand, but I gently withdrew it. I am not finished, I said. I see two paths forward for us. The first involves marriage counseling, complete transparency about your conversations with friends, and a genuine commitment to rebuilding mutual respect. The second is separation. The word hung in the air between us. I do not want to separate, Jennifer said quickly, her voice breaking. I want to fix this. I will do whatever it takes. Are you sure? I asked. Because the work will be hard and uncomfortable. It will require you to be honest with yourself about why you were so quick to lose faith in me and so willing to diminish me in front of others. I am sure, she insisted. I love you, Carter. I made a terrible mistake influenced by Stephanie's constant negativity about her own failed marriage. I let my insecurities and her bitterness affect how I saw our situation. It was wrong, and I want to make it right. Over the next few weeks, we began the difficult process of rebuilding. Our first counseling session was raw and painful, with Jennifer finally acknowledging her underlying fears about financial security, stemming from her parents' struggles during her childhood. I shared my hurt and disappointment, but also my commitment to working through the issue if genuine respect could be restored. The counselor helped us establish new communication patterns and boundaries. Jennifer agreed to distance herself from Stephanie, whose toxic perspective had clearly influenced her attitude. She also promised to address any concerns directly with me rather than venting to friends. 6 months later, our relationship had transformed dramatically. My business continued to thrive, exceeding even my optimistic projections. I was now earning significantly more than in my corporate position, with the freedom to choose projects that excited me and clients who valued my expertise. Jennifer made consistent efforts to rebuild trust. She attended networking events with me, showed genuine interest in my work, and most importantly, proudly introduced me to new acquaintances as a successful business owner. She also made amends by admitting to her friends that she had been wrong about my business and our financial future. The true test came when we attended another gathering that included Stephanie. Early in the evening, she made a subtle dig about entrepreneurial ventures. Before Jennifer could respond, I spoke up. Actually, Stephanie, I said pleasantly, taking the risk to start my own business was the best decision I ever made. It taught me who truly believes in me and who doesn't. That knowledge is priceless. Jennifer squeezed my hand under the table, and later that night told me how proud she was of the business I had built and the man I was. Our marriage emerged stronger, though forever changed. The painful experience had revealed character flaws we might never have addressed otherwise. The counseling helped us develop better communication tools and a deeper understanding of each other's fears and needs. I learned that self-worth must come from within and cannot be dependent on another person's validation. I discovered the strength to stand up for myself even with the person I love most, and I found that sometimes a crisis is necessary to reveal the truth about a relationship. Jennifer learned that respect is as essential as love in a marriage. She developed a greater awareness of how external influences like toxic friendships can poison perspective. Most importantly, she recognized that partnership means weathering uncertainty together rather than assigning blame during difficult times. Today, our relationship has a new foundation built on genuine respect and belief in each other. While I would never choose to relive the humiliation of that dinner party, I am grateful for the clarity it ultimately brought us. Sometimes, you need to almost lose something to truly appreciate its value. And sometimes you need to stand firm in your self-worth to save what matters most. Where do you stand on respect in relationships? Have you ever had to confront a partner about how they speak about you to others? Comment below with your experiences or how you would handle a similar situation. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share to help others who might be facing similar challenges in their relationships. Thank you for listening to my journey, and remember, mutual respect is not negotiable in any relationship worth having.